Silent strength is one of the most misunderstood psychological traits. People often assume that individuals who don't speak much are weak, submissive, or emotionally fragile. But the truth is that silence can be one of the strongest forms of self-control. Many people who possess quiet strength have learned, through years of observation and emotional processing, that reacting impulsively only wastes energy. Instead of speaking to be heard, they listen to understand. Instead of arguing to prove something, they choose to preserve peace. This type of inner strength is not loud, dramatic, or attention-seeking. It's subtle, deep, and extremely powerful. Their silence is not a void. It's a deliberate state where they process information, measure their emotions, and decide whether speaking is even worth it. They do not look for validation from others because their sense of worth is internal, not dependent on external approval. For this reason, many quietly strong people are misunderstood, yet they are among the mentally strongest individuals you can meet. People with silent strength often develop their calm behavior from repeated exposure to difficult environments. Some grew up in chaotic households where emotional explosions were common, and silence became their safest form of protection. Over the years, this conditioned response turned into a stable personality trait that allows them to remain level-headed even in stressful moments. Others developed silent strength through introspection after experiencing betrayal, disagreements, or conflicts where speaking only made things worse. They learned that silence is sometimes the best strategy. It is not passive. It is a form of emotional discipline. Quietly strong individuals are often excellent at managing their internal emotional climate. They don't collapse easily. They don't panic quickly. They don't let external negativity disrupt their psychological balance. Instead, they create an internal buffer zone where they can regulate their reactions before expressing anything outwardly. This ability makes them incredibly resilient, especially in social and professional environments where emotional intelligence plays a major role. One of the core psychological traits of silently strong people is emotional restraint. While most people react instantly when triggered, quietly strong individuals pause, analyze, and interpret before they respond. This pause is not indecision, it is strategy. It allows them to observe the intentions behind someone's words and actions, to identify manipulative behavior, and to decide whether engaging is even worth their time. Their silence unsettles people who rely on emotional reactions to dominate a conversation. Narcissists, manipulators, and aggressive personalities often find it difficult to control someone who doesn't respond predictably. Quiet strength creates psychological pressure. The less you reveal, the more others reveal about themselves. Quiet people often read the room more accurately than those who dominate conversations because they pay attention to facial expressions, tone shifts, micro-expressions, and inconsistencies. Their silence is not empty. It is full of observation, comprehension, and strategic analysis. Quietly strong people tend to think deeply before they make decisions. Unlike impulsive individuals who jump quickly into commitments, silent-minded people evaluate long-term consequences, emotional costs, and personal values before acting. This makes their lifestyle more stable and purposeful. They do not waste time on unnecessary conflicts or meaningless relationships. They prioritize peace, stability, and quality over drama, chaos, and superficiality. When they finally decide to do something, it is because they have already calculated the emotional and psychological impact on themselves and others. This thoughtful style of decision-making often leads to better outcomes in work, friendships, and life goals. Their silence gives them mental space to think clearly, and their inner strength allows them to avoid pressure from others. Another defining characteristic of quiet strength is the ability to endure hardships without constantly expressing distress. This doesn't mean they don't feel pain. It means they process it internally rather than seeking attention or emotional reactions. Many silently strong people have experienced emotional wounds that force them to become resilient. Instead of collapsing, they rebuilt themselves. Instead of complaining, they adapted. Their calmness is not the absence of struggle. It is the mastery of their inner world. They understand that life will not always be fair, and instead of resisting reality, they learn to navigate it. They don't seek pity. They don't blame others. They focus on managing their emotions and maintaining stability. This ability to endure makes them appear mysterious, but in reality, they simply developed coping mechanisms that allow them to survive without collapsing under pressure. Quietly strong individuals often maintain a small circle of friends. They choose depth over quantity when it comes to relationships. They prefer genuine connections with people who respect boundaries, communicate honestly, and appreciate emotional stability. They avoid gossip, drama-driven individuals, and those who thrive on emotional chaos. Because of their calm nature, they tend to attract people who feel safe around them, but they know how to protect their energy by avoiding relationships that drain them. Trust, for them, is something earned slowly and cautiously. They observe people's actions more than their words, and they distance themselves from anyone who repeatedly breaks boundaries. Their silence becomes a filter that reveals the true intentions of those around them. A major psychological strength of quiet individuals is their ability to detach emotionally from stressful situations. They do not act out of desperation or panic. They prefer to step back mentally and evaluate things from a distance. Emotional detachment allows them to stay calm even when others are overwhelmed by fear or frustration. It is not coldness, it is emotional intelligence. It is the ability to separate temporary feelings from long-term decisions. This detachment helps them avoid overreacting, keeps them from being manipulated, and gives them room to think rationally. People often mistake their calmness for indifference, but in reality, they simply refuse to let emotions control their behavior. Quiet strength also enhances problem-solving abilities. Because silently strong people prefer to think before acting, they are excellent at analyzing situations logically. They break problems into smaller parts, identify the root cause, and approach solutions from a structured perspective. Their silence gives them the mental space to explore multiple angles before making a decision. This analytical mindset makes them reliable in both professional and personal situations. When others panic, they remain steady. When others rush, they pause. When others react emotionally, they respond logically. Quietly strong people are also highly self-aware. They know their weaknesses, emotional triggers, and personal limits. This awareness helps them avoid unnecessary conflicts and protect their energy. They do not pretend to be perfect, nor do they need validation for their choices. Their silence is a form of self-respect. It allows them to preserve their inner peace and maintain a strong sense of identity even when others misunderstand them. Because they analyze themselves constantly, they continue to grow, evolve, and refine their emotional intelligence. Ultimately, the psychology of silent strength teaches us that true power is not loud, it is controlled. It is not attention-seeking, it is intentional. Quietly strong people show us that emotional maturity does not require constant expression, but rather deep understanding and disciplined response. Their silence is not weakness. It is a form of mastery. It allows them to stay calm, make thoughtful decisions, observe the world clearly, and maintain a level of resilience that most people never develop. Silent strength is the power of knowing who you are, what you value, and what you refuse to allow into your heart. It is one of the most underestimated forms of psychological power, yet one of the most transformative.